Hi everyone, it's Mojax. I find myself back in the lab once again, this time looking at a new version of Serato DJ, version 1.3. This version includes support for a couple more of the older itch controllers, so Novation Twitch and the Vestax VCI 300, but I'm mainly looking today at the effects setup. They've got a new option in effects of a favourite effects list, which might simplify things for some people, plus there are two new plugin packs for effects, so you've got one free and one that you have to pay about $20 for. So I'm going to take a look at the effects, we'll see how they all work, and then you can make your mind up if you think that's worth buying or not. Let's go. Okay, so this is Serato DJ 1.3.0 then. Not a massive difference from what we've seen before with Serato DJ. The only main noticeable thing on this front page is, of course, this new slip mode button. That means you can activate the slip mode with any of the Serato DJ controllers. Even if you don't have a dedicated button, you can do it with the trackpad or with the mouse. And also you can MIDI assign that to an external MIDI controller as well. So that opens up the power of the slip mode to a lot more users. I'm just going to get the music started so you guys can sort of get an idea of how this track sounds before I start messing with effects later on in the video. To set up these new effect packs, what you do is go into the section at the bottom right hand side there, now called Online. You will log in with your username and password. I've done that already, but you can see there I've got the expansion packs of the effects already activated in mine. So, and I'll give you instructions on how to do that if you haven't done so already. Strangely, you go into setup and the effects aren't though listed in expansion packs. Doesn't really make a lot of sense to me, but there you go. They've actually got their own tab called effects, and what we've got now is this new favorite effects list. So I'm actually going to use this for practical purposes in this video. What I've done is I've added all of the different effects from each pack. I'm going to do that one at a time so you can see each pack individually. This is the base pack, which is the effects that are in 1.2 version of Serato DJ. You've got the wolf pack, which is the new free additional pack, and then you've got the back pack, which is the extra one. So what you can see the difference is there. If we go into the effects tab, at the moment I've got all of these different effects in there, and that can get a bit unwieldy, especially if you're navigating through those lists with your MIDI controller or with your actual Serato DJ controller. If you don't use them, there's not a lot of point having them there. So what you can do now is actually use this favorite effects list, and you'll see what I've done. You can add and remove them from that list. I've actually added everything from the new wolf pack into my favorite effects list, and you'll see if I go in there now, I've got just those in the list. So let's get going. What I'll do is take you through these all one at a time, and we'll get an idea of how they all sound. Okay, so we are now looking at the wolf pack, the free plugin pack that came with Serato DJ 1.3. So we're going to go through the easiest way. We've got these two different settings. If you're not aware, in Serato DJ you've basically got the three-way combo effect set up, where you can have three different effects all controlled simultaneously, or you've got the single effect mode where you've basically got lots of different parameters for each one. So I'm just going to start with the very basic three-way. Let's see, just to give you an idea of each one roughly as it goes. I mean, I'm not going to delve too deeply into the wolf pack set because, to be honest, you're going to get that free anyway. You can just play with that. If you've got Serato DJ, there's no excuse not to get the free one, so give it a try. So we'll start at the very top then with Epic Reverb. And yeah, epic is probably the word for that. Almost takes the track right out. Pretty decent. Epic Verb Drop. Bit of variation on that. Bit crush then. Bit crusher effect. Pretty nice. Tremolo is kind of almost a gator effect. Obviously you can play with the beats on that. Gator is something that Serato DJ has been sorely missing compared to Traktor, and that's not a bad start. Much better in the single effect mode, but I'll show you that in a moment. Transform. It's basically like a gator that increases speed as you go up in depth. That's nice. Repeater. Basically like a delay with no tail on it at all. Again, gets faster the deeper you go, which is nice. Shredder. That's a bit like Tractor's Beat Masher effect. And the breaker, which is a breaker. Not much you can do with that one, but you know, that's something that people do request a lot, I've noticed. And then break echo, which is kind of like an echo out with a break on it. That's again heavily kind of requested. A lot of people do use the echo, the rollout in Serato Scratch Live, so that's quite a good alternative to that. And then combo fade echo. So that's kind of an echo and a fade. Different parameter. Again, if you're changing tempo in your set, changing to a different style of music, just want a nice dead stop, that's a pretty nice way of getting out of it there. So that's that in the combo mode. Obviously you can have combinations of those running through each other, which is pretty, you can come up with some crazy stuff there. Right, so we're going to look at these now in the single effect mode. So you've got a lot more parameters to play with. Again, won't spend too much time on these. This is a free pack, but it's worth investigating. So this is Epic Reverb. You can have send or wet mix. Which basically dictates how it's being mixed with the original audio. Decay time, tighten that right up at the width as well. And you can contour it, so it's like a bit of a kind of like a high pass filter on there as well. So that's Epic Reverb. Bit Crush, and you can adjust how much of the bass is getting driven, overdriven with that. Get it right down to 2-bit depth. That's pretty crazy. Couldn't get much further down than that. Character up and down, and then how much it's down sampling. So you can really just destroy it with that, like literally just destroy the entire. But as you can see, when you're coming out of that with that parameter, you can get some pretty interesting noises going on. That's pretty cool. Right, tremolo then. Again, we can change the beats in there. Change the type of sine wave. So the shape of it. The duty knob. Seems to do the attack and release of the waveform. On there. Noise injection, bit of white noise in there. Lots of white noise added. And you can adjust the phase of the waveform as well, whether it's exactly on the beat or say 180 degrees or 360. So yeah, lots of parameters to mess with. Repeater. You can obviously do the beat length, now you've got the domain, how much it's going to repeat within. Loop on and off, so if you turn that on, it will just loop on forever and ever. Turn it off and it carries on through the track doing it. Number of pieces it chops into, and the number of repeats. Yeah, you can really mess with things using that one. Breaker, and you can do different ways to trigger that. So you can do that with the fader, so mix off to 0 and that will kill it, and turn the breaker on, it will trigger with the effect on, break time, and it adds a bit of a spin back afterwards. If you want that sort of thing, just the spin back length as well. So you know, that's definitely interesting. Not something I use personally, but you know, as I say, a lot of people like the breaker kind of thing. Breaker echo. So you've got a roll out, you can adjust the feedback, fade, re-break only, and you can filter the echo as well. So if you kind of want a one button echo out of your mix, that could definitely be a way to go for that. So there you go, that's your Wolf Pack then in the two different modes. I'm going to go back in now to the setup screen, and then I'm going to come back out again, and we'll just have the new backpack installed in the favourites, just have that set up, and then you can have an idea of how those sound. Those are the ones you're going to pay for, so that's going to be a bit more interesting. Okay, so let's get into the really important part of this video then. This is the backpack additional set of effects that you can now purchase for $19 from Serato directly. It's a plugin. Obviously these are all made by iZotope. I mean, I'm guessing that's why the costing's coming into it, because iZotope makes some amazing studio plugins and so on. And I'm guessing, you know, this technology doesn't come cheap. So that's why they're having to add it. Whether you need them or not, that's kind of up to you. So just to give a bit of credit where it's due, this is a wicked track by Jeremus, Boomerang. It's We Are Tall Order's superb remix on Warped Bridge Records out of Newcastle. So just to give them their props, as always, for letting me use their stuff in my videos. Thanks to them. Now with this pack, what we're going to do is just start with the single mode effects. Now, why am I doing that? Well, because really, what you're looking at for your money, actually, this is what you're getting. You're getting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 effects for your $19, because everything else in the multi-effect mode is basically just a variation on these basic themes. There is a lot here, don't get me wrong, for what you're getting, but you know, that is officially, that's really all you're getting, 6 different effects for your money. Yeah, it's, you know, it's the price of a cheap meal out, really, $20, but you know, it's an investment still, so it's definitely worth taking a proper look at these. So we've got, first of all, we've got break echo. Let's just turn it straight on. So that is your real break echo, like in, you know, Scratch Live, they had a kind of version of that. Obviously with this, people like that one button push to get out of a mix, and I can understand that. It's much easier. I use echo out all the time, but I use it in combination with a fader. So I use the fader out myself, and I use the effect. I like to have that sort of level of control over it. A lot of people, they just want to hit that button, know that effect is going to go, and they're out. So, you know, I'm not going to complain about that at all. If that's the way you want to work, that's entirely up to you. You've got rollout time, you can cut it down really short. So you do it along the number of beats, basically. So you do 100%, it'll take what, feedback as well. Mode, you've got break, fade mode out as well. I like that one more, actually. That'd be great for some really long. It keeps breaking in the re-break mode. Fade, 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 fade. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I'm really digging that fade one the most. That's pretty sweet. And you can filter the actual fade out, the actual echo tail itself. I always like to, if I'm doing an echo, I always like to put a bit of high pass filter on it. Just makes for a cleaner sound, I think, on the way out. So that's break echo. Tape echo. Obviously tape echo is something, you know, back from the studio days, back in from the 50s onwards, really, people were messing with this in an analog form. Now we've got a digital version within Serato DJ. Getting different modes. Drive on it. Like a really saturated echo. Again, it's different, you know, you won't find that anywhere else. And with all of these in Serato DJ, they are like post faded. Turn them off, the tail will carry on, which for me is really important. Looper. And you can pitch it Again, this is the sort of stuff, if you're going to do hands-on control, you can really mess with stuff. Change the range it'll go through. Wide range or tight range. You can do vary speed, which is like both. You can do pitch only. You can do time only. It's like a time stretch, and again you can filter the results as well. Brilliant. So let's get into time stretch then. Pretty awesome. It's a very similar effect to that in Tractor, which is also awesome. Haven't quite worked out what that manual trigger does yet. I'll update you in the info on the video if I manage to do that. You've got the grain size. I really like the tight one. That gets it to, sounds a bit like the old Akai samplers. So you put a vocal through that, it's going to sound really good. Like an old drum and bass record or something. And you can do the stretch and attack, so how quickly it kicks in. I think that's really, really cool. If you're playing breakbeat and stuff, I reckon, to be honest, obviously I bought this, you know, anyway, because I just do that sort of thing, but I think that time stretch is worth it alone for me. Personally, I reckon I'm going to get a lot of use out of that one. Spiral echo. Just set that to slightly offbeat, and then we can get more of an idea of what it's doing. Again, change the character of it. Tape gives it really saturated. Okay. Feedback amount. Inertia. You can hear that there. Coming out of a track with that is really cool, without a doubt. Just going to go back to the beginning again. And then we've got an auto filter as the last one in the single effect mode. Different modes, you've got high pass, resonant high pass, band pass, resonant band pass, low pass, and resonant low pass. Envelope can be changed, and your attack. And release can be adjusted as well. Yeah, it's just another filter at the end of the day, but it is another filter with a bit of a different character from most of the others in Serato DJ you've got already. Okay, so let's get into the combo versions of these effects then. What we're going to have to do is actually do them on the second one, because the Twitch uses the fader effects, so without, and I'm just using the mouse here, I've got the Twitch connected, but it's really hard to show you these without those. So let's just get back into what we've got. So we've got our list then. We've got tape echo number 1. So if I use the left hand slot, I'd have to use the fader effects, and that's a bit of a pain. So let's just get into this one here. So tape echo, the big saturated echo, sounding really good. Combo tape echo. Top end or low end, sounds really good. Twist echo, some really nice tight delay sort of sound on that. Yeah, I'm digging that one, sounds good. Looper, obviously kicks in straight away. Just change the beat thing. Pitch up, pitch down. Again, all of these you've got to think if you're going to use them in combination with any of the other effects from any of the other packs, from the original pack, from the Wolf pack, whatever you want. So you can really mess with stuff deeply in the combo setting mode, which is kind of cool. Right, pitch looper. Up and down. Again, in this mode, really simple to use, but very effective. Shuffler. Time stretch. Only really does stuff when you're using the actual control itself, or turning it on and off. So pretty sweet. A lot of these effects seem to just do nothing when they're at full volume. I'm guessing that's because some controllers you might accidentally have it left on full volume, you turn it on and you're going to have a bit of a mess straight away. So that's kind of how it seems to work, and that's pretty cool. Time freeze. Yeah, definitely see a lot of abstract kind of uses for that one. Spiral echo up. Build-ups and stuff. It's decent. Spiral echo down. A lot of these kind of reminiscent of my Pioneer RMX 1000 that I use with all my kit. I always use that separately. A lot of these effects are kind of similar to the ones that are going on there as well. So there's some influence from Traktor, there's some influence from Pioneer. You know, it's some good stuff. You've got your auto filter. Nice to just have these there without worrying about any other sort of parameters to mess with or anything like that. High pass and the combo auto filters, you can go high and low. So there you go. That is the new effects in Serato DJ 1.3.0. Well, yeah, I'm digging it. I'm definitely digging the freebie. You know that the Wolf pack. It's got quite a lot in there. You can definitely a lot of that stuff in the Wolf pack is really the most requested stuff that people have asked for on the Serato forums over the last few months. So that's great that they brought that along. The backpack. So they've basically got me with that time stretch. Otherwise, I would probably think twice about it. There's not a lot else in there that I really want to play with desperately, but the time stretch effect is pretty sweet, so I would definitely jump on board for that alone. But yeah, it's interesting new direction for Serato to go. Certainly, we're still hoping for a few sort of improvements. There are still issues with really large libraries in Serato DJ. People are still complaining to this day about the good old played track color being grey. So hopefully stuff will continue to come down the pipe from them. There's nothing bad in this new release as far as I can see. It's working fine for me on Mac. Your mileage may vary, of course, on PC or whatever else you're using, but for me it seems to be stable enough. I'm quite happy to use it for gigs. So thank you very much for watching. I hope this has proved useful for you and interesting. If it has, please do subscribe to my channel, youtube.com/mojaxvdj, and I'll have more videos for you soon. I've got a new hardware video coming out very soon, so look out for that. And yeah, thanks again. Bye bye.